paint a living, breathing canvas, you can come across all kinds of technical challenges. Opting for a body means you have to consider your art needs to eat, drink, and use the bathroom. You can also find with your brush, while painting the incredibly flexible Beth Sykes and Larry Thomas, all kinds of little tickly spots. My fine art is in creating illusions, and is a passion, an obsession, and ultimately a kind of play, a play with paint. Playing with paint has come from a mix of theatrical and beauty industry backgrounds, and an obsession with paint my whole life. Coming up with the compositions can lead to all kinds of problems. Your art can actually literally fall apart, as you can see here. This series, looking at the marvels of nature, has a lot to do with me pushing my abilities, and not only has a combination of contortionists who push themselves to their physical and perhaps evolutionary limits as well, but also looks at some of these incredible animals with amazing evolutionary traits. I love looking at one point of perspective. It's all part of the challenge of the paint. Having the camera positioned exactly for everything to line up perfectly, and the model having to hold that all-important pose, as Helen Clare demonstrates wonderfully here. The one point in perspective within my work is all rather ironic, really, as the main drive and inspiration for all my pieces is the vast viewpoints and ideas of others. I love how in French, an interpretation of I miss you is actually closer to an expression of you are missing from me, how we all view the same things differently, depending on the stories we tell. I have many stories with the wonderful Charlotte Madoudi, who not only puts up with moments of cold for pieces like this, but also who quite enjoys a nap while patiently being painted. Luckily, not while she's been standing for this series, looking at ideas of love from around the world. Kintsugi is known as the art of golden repair. In Japan, they use gold to mend breaks and cracks in their pottery, as they believe when something is broken, it has history, so becomes more beautiful. I'm so passionate about the different ways that Eastern and Western cultures view many things, and it inspired a whole range of my work, including the Axis Mundi, or Tree of Life. Now, this piece proved rather unintentionally popular at Halloween, but it actually genuinely isn't an attempt to scare anyone. The Tree of Life is a concept that's crossed so many cultures, this idea of a point of connection, the center of everything. I spoke with the model Alice about how trees are like the lungs of the planet, and we looked at making her into an apple tree, adding miniature clock hands to the foam apples in her hair to explore Alan Watts' philosophy on time, that if people in the universe could be seen like apples, and if the whole world was an apple tree, but had been viewed before life had appeared, it may have seemed like a big old lump of rock. But in time, it peopled, just like an apple tree apples. It's all a matter of time. One of the first questions people actually often ask me about the work is how long does it take? There's a bit of a horrified reaction that the model simply washes it off, followed by a bit of a relief in this idea of a photograph, that this somehow captures it eternally. I find our measurement of time so interesting. You can spend 6 hours painting a piece for a photograph to be taken in seconds, and then the wipes take it off the model's face in minutes. It's these bits of time I try to remember as well, how everybody outside of the moment make it possible. And photographer Jonathan McCauley gives so much of his time putting up with my eccentric requests. I'm extremely grateful. He's also become quite a handy assistant too when time is against us. I love looking back at the images, but I think I love the temperance of the piece just as much, how like live theatre, body paint is in the moment, and how life itself can be seen as so very temporary, depending on your perspective. So time and time again, I'm inspired by the ideas and concepts of writers, philosophers, spiritual leaders, ideas within ancient and current cultures, and I create these visual interpretations of these mindsets and ideas. Ideas like Sigmund Freud's, that the mind is like an iceberg, it floats with 1/7 of the bulk above water. It's exciting to think we have these inner, incredible, imaginatively limitless minds, yet even to begin to be used to a tiny part of their full capability. And if you ever feel like creating an iceberg, like myself and painting friend John Ryder, let me tell you that microwaving soap looks effective, but makes a hell of a mess. Even more of a mess when after the final photo is taken and you've had enough of this difficult to work with flaky material, so you decide to crush it right onto the head of the model Christina, which then resulted in a rather soapy play fight. I'd like to note my scientific studies revealed soap doesn't taste very nice. I now get donated all kinds of materials from anyone who knows my strange construction habits. Recycling and reforming the purpose is all part of the fun of the illusion. Shaping cotton wool into clouds turned out to be the ideal medium for the concept Nifalabata, the idea of a cloud walker, one who lives in the cloud of their own imagination or dreams, who does not abide by the precepts of society, literature, or art, an unconventional, unorthodox person. I absolutely adore this Portuguese concept and how clouds themselves become other things to those imaginatively limitless minds. I also love how clouds are a part of nature's change we can actually watch in that constant visible flux, and how, just like the nature of body art is to be washed off, clouds, water, and body paint seem to be something we can't hold on to. Yet, this temporary artwork has such deep roots within our history. It has survived since the earliest tribal cultures, still continuing on in these early forms amongst the indigenous people of Australia, New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, parts of Africa, India, and Japan, and now with so many amazing body artists across the globe, creating these modern interpretations of our primal art form. I love our origins. It's a vital part to the obsession, how we retell the stories and how they've developed over time. I love looking at symbols and meanings and how they've created our ideas today. But I'm just as passionate to see how we can change the story as well, how we can focus on the seeds we sow and maybe adjust our perspective. My story changed completely 4 years ago, when in a single moment I could seem to see where I was headed, and I realized I was on a path that wasn't right for me. It was in that moment that pretty much changed everything, and some hard choices to leave a lot behind, but start a new story that has led to so many wonderful things. And believe me, there are moments when you decide to become a concept body artist, when you decide to make a living from what you love, from playing with paint, where people don't quite understand your vocation. But it does seem that thinking outside of any boxes, not being worried about fitting in, having an open mind, that has led to so many amazing opportunities. I've been able to travel, meet fantastic people, and do some fantastic commissions with my art. I'm also one of those very lucky and quite annoying people who love what they do so much they never actually feel they're really working. I love hearing other people's stories about following their passion. It's such an attractive thing, that courage to change and embrace life's dreams. I know it's not always an easy choice, and I'm so grateful for all those words of encouragement that other people gave me, from stories in books to words friends and strangers said, as they've had such a huge effect. And it's that power of words, that butterfly effect of what we do and say, which led to this piece for Rethink Your Mind's Yellow Book project. They look at any negative ways we may view the words mental health and turn them to a positive understanding of a healthy mind. I'm very humbled to be able to use any of my art to look at not only how we see the world, but also focus on some of those important issues our world faces today. We challenged ourselves with 3 models again, looking at one of our marvels of nature, with pesticides affecting the population of bees, which are this huge part of the chain, pollinating so much of our food with their continuous small acts. Looking at what we eat and where it comes from can seem a relatively small act too, but may have a big effect as well. The words of Jack Sim, or Mr. Toilet as he is known, helped explain this importance of changing ideas. He spoke about the butterfly effect of helping others, with highlighting the problems we still have with sanitation across huge areas of the globe. With many people still preferring the communal squat, we created a piece for World Toilet Day to help, as he put, glamorize the toilet. This then led to UN Water asking us to create a piece for World Water Day to highlight the problems we have in water management and sustainability. Coming up with a concept led me to think about what little water information I knew. I remember being shocked to find out it takes 2,600 gallons of water to make a single pair of jeans, and comparing this to how women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa, who are responsible for fetching water, spend 2 to 4 hours a day going back and forth collecting this essential resource. trying to even put myself in their shoes, or of the 748 million people across the globe who don't have access to clean water, seems so difficult. It's so distant from the way I live now, with this magical, amazing tap I just turned to produce fresh, clean water. The scale of the problems can seem so vast and distant. The connection isn't always easy to see, but doing whatever we can, whatever is within our means, if that's playing with paint or play of any form, at this incredible point in history, where we're able to change the story in ways like never before, seems vital. We now have a way of sharing, connecting, and spreading our ideas to the rest of the world online, so we can take our small acts as communities together and look at that bigger picture and our part in these ongoing challenges. And I'm very lucky to have an incredible network and community around me who make it impossible not to see this butterfly effect in my life, as they're the only way that make this play with paint possible. They're not only open to all kinds of ideas, but give so much of their time to help support these causes and projects. I'm not only inspired by these incredible people in my life, but all the wonderful and incredible words others have gave that give inspiration to my art. Babatunde Alatunji explained a beautiful perspective that not only reflects this gratitude I have, but also a feeling of responsibility in making the most of our choices, even if this is simply day-to-day what we do with our time. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. This powerful play with words feels further proof to me of this incredible, unknown effect of ideas, as he not only inspired my art, but my viewpoint. So I shall leave you with lots of gratitude for listening, and some words my partner James shares whenever I question which direction to take my work, as who knows how this may influence your life, time, passion, obsession, or form of paint play. It's not just your work, it's your art. It's what you give to the world. Thank you.